Can the exclusion of just one ingredient render the root beer we all know and love an imitation of the real thing? We're here to root out the truth. If you can't let the summer end without savoring at least one root beer float, be grateful that a pharmacist by the name of Charles Elmer Hires went on his honeymoon in New Jersey. According to Thought Co., it was there that Hires found the herbal tea he'd eventually use as a base to create and sell the United States' first commercial root beer. However, while Hires root beer would arrive in stores to meet incredible success, if you buy a six-pack of the same soda today, you won't be enjoying its original recipe. In fact, you won't even be drinking real root beer. And it's not just the OG root beer brand that fails the test of authenticity. From A&W to Barks, no store-bought root beer is actually the real deal. So why are all of these commercial sodas certified phonies? The reason is a little complex. As Thought Co. reports, homemade root beer was around decades before it was sold commercially. While indigenous people brewed a variety of drinks and medicines from roots, modern-day root beer came about thanks to American colonists. Although they didn't have much to work with, the colonists didn't let that deter them from making tasty alcoholic and non-alcoholic drinks. Called small beers, these beverages were brewed from herbs, barks, and of course roots. These by-the-bootstrap brewers created birch, sarsaparilla, and even ginger-based sips. However, Utah Education Network reports that the original root beer is what kept these early American founders coming back time after time.
You got a good sarsaparilla?
Sioux City sarsaparilla?
Yeah, it's a good one.
So what made this specific drink stand out from the others? Well, that's also a little complicated. According to McGill University, there was actually never a definitive, all-encompassing recipe for the beloved drink. For many years, brewers would use either the sassafras tree or the sarsaparilla vine to give their root beer its distinctive taste. Although brewers' mixes differed on occasion, at least one of these ingredients was usually featured in the commercial root beers we know and love. However, according to All Recipes, that all changed in 1976 when the FDA revealed that the saffrol in these two plants could cause cancer. And so, the organization outlawed food products that utilized saffrol, sassafras, and sarsaparilla. However, many sources report all is not completely right with the FDA's decision. Today, you'll likely find your favorite canned root beer is made with artificial or saffrol-free sassafras. Although saffrol is banned, it can still be found in other perfectly legal food products, such as nutmeg. So what's going on here?
I don't know. Sure seems fishy.
According to All Recipes, the test that revealed saffrol causes cancer was a little, let's just say, unconventional. The study involved feeding rats enough root beer to add up to drinking some 32-odd bottles of the soda daily. After consuming this amount of the product, the rats consequently showed signs of liver cancer. To be fair, as ridiculous as this test sounds, All Recipes notes that the United States isn't alone in its vendetta against sassafras. The outlet reports that the European Commission on Health also banished the ingredient for the very same reason. Interestingly enough, McGill University also reports that some modern studies were unable to verify saffrol as carcinogenic. Despite some evidence that suggests the FDA's regulation should be overruled, sassafras and sarsaparilla are still forbidden from being used in commercial root beer, and so it seems unlikely that these saffrol products will ever return from U.S. exile. While you may never be able to buy real root beer, that doesn't mean you can't ever taste it. If your curiosity is getting the best of you, you can make a batch of bona fide sassafras or sarsaparilla root soda right at home. In fact, as All Recipes and Simply Recipes both note, many brewers across the U.S. have given up on drinking fake root beer and have turned to making it in their kitchens. And aside from sassafras, sarsaparilla, or both, All Recipes states all you need to join the real root beer rebellion is some sugar, yeast, water, and additional flavorings such as cinnamon and ginger. After fermenting these ingredients, you'll have yourself a batch of actual root-based root beer. However, if you're concerned with how you're going to get your hands on sassafras and sarsaparilla root, don't be. Even if foraging in the woods for plants isn't your speed, both roots are pretty easy to access. As All Recipes notes, you can buy pre-picked and pre-ground sassafras root on Etsy. You can find pre-prepped sarsaparilla on Etsy too. If you dare, take matters into your own hands and try out some actual root beer with your ice cream.